it is now time to turn our attention to the rest of Canada because the
Yeah.
Leafs sure as hell aren't the best Canadian team in the NHL right now. Who is the best Canadian team? Because technically, the Winnipeg Jets, as of recording this podcast, have the best record in the NHL. They are on an outrageous run right now. Like, you're going to be blown away by what I'm about to tell you about the Winnipeg Jets, okay?
Am I, Bruno?
They have allowed 2 goals or less in 13 straight games.
Wait, the Leafs are about the same, right?
In their
Fuck.
dreams. The Leafs
Yeah,
are the same
Jesus.
in their dreams. What might be even more outrageous than that, the Jets have allowed 3 goals or less in 33 straight games. So they have gone nearly half a season allowing 3 goals or less. 33 games in a row, they've allowed 3 goals or less.
That's bananas.
Like, that's insane. If you can do that on a night-to-night basis, chances are you're going to win a shitload of hockey games. And that's why they lead the NHL right now in points percentage. What's been very impressive about that team is that Kyle Connor has been out of the lineup for an extended period of time. He's back, but now Scheifele's banged up. Obviously, they made the Pierre-Luc Dubois trade in the offseason, shook up that team a little bit. They have a little bit more depth. But, it's not like the Jets have, like, a ton of top-end talent. They're a good team, but I don't think they have the same high-end talent as Vegas or Colorado or even Dallas for that matter, right? So, anyway, so we have the Jets. Then, of course, we have the Canucks, who, as we talked about, are riding that PDO bender, and they're kind of defying all the math right now. Their underlying numbers aren't great, but they're shooting the lights out, and they're getting great goaltending from Thatcher Demko. And then, of course, we have the Edmonton Oilers, who have now thrown their hat in the ring, who are 22-6 over their last 28 games. They've won 11 games in a row. They didn't even win 11 games in a row during the Gretzky era, which is ridiculous.
Hold up, Bruno. Hold up. Everyone's been saying that, and I'm going to defend my boy Gretzky and co, okay?
I knew you'd have something to say.
It wasn't 4-on-4 overtime back then or shootout. You got the tie. So in this Oilers streak, they've had those. And back in the 80s, that didn't exist. Everyone's like, oh, they're better than the Gretzky. No, they're not. Pump the brakes, everyone. Carry on.
Okay.
Yeah,
I love that you defended
Bruno.
the Wayner there. But yeah, so who do you think is the best team in Canada right now? Like, right now, who's the best team? And then, like, if you had to pick one of these teams to go on a deep playoff run and potentially win the cup, who would it be of those 3? Because, like I said, it sure as hell is in the Leafs at this point.
It's funny. It's actually really, really and truly funny because it wasn't that long ago we were sitting here saying that we didn't think the Edmonton Oilers were going to make the playoffs because things look so fucking bad for that team and that group. Their body language was fucking awful. And I think even the biggest Oilers homers in the world cannot criticize us for flip-flopping on this because things have done a complete 180. I've watched a lot of the Oilers lately and they look good, man. They're fast. They're playing heavier than I've ever seen them play. Bouchard has just gone to another level, right? And Zach Hyman just decided to be Mario Lemieux.
Hyman's fucking unreal. That's been the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen in my life.
Did you see that goal that got called back?
That was like one of the goals of the year.
Jesus, like what the fuck? Well, I'm like, what is happening? Zach Hyman's undressing TJ Brody and going top corner. But to me, it's Edmonton. The Jets are good too, though, man. The Jets are a well-balanced team, as you pointed out. Like they don't have that unbelievable superstar talent at the top. But what you threw out there, this is what's hilarious to me. The Jets have gone, what you said, 44, whatever, 40 some odd
33 in a row, allowing 3 goals or less.
Okay. Their top 6, Josh Morrissey, Dylan DeMello, Brendan Dillon, Neil Pionk, Dylan Sandberg, and Nate Schmidt.
I might take the Leafs decor over that decor.
It goes to show, man. It goes to show. And I always go back to the Vegas expansion draft. It's about the NHL now. It's a cap league and everybody's good, right? It's about building a team. And that's why I hate the argument all the time of like when a team is doing poorly and like, oh, I don't get it. Look at all this talent we have. It's because as a team, you're shit. Right now, as a team, the Leafs are trash, terrible. They make no sense. The team makes absolutely no sense. But you look at this Jets team; they're getting the results. They're doing it, And they had issues in previous seasons with their forwards playing strong defensively. I guess old man Rick Bowness has cleaned that up. What's hilarious, and something I think is not getting enough press, the 3 Jack Adams candidates may be Canadian teams.
Yeah, it's a good point.
In these 3 teams, it could happen. I mean, I don't know, maybe Torts. I'm trying to think of others now.
I guess the Flyers have been surprisingly pretty good, which is maybe the most stunning development of the entire season.
Yeah.
But
I'll go with the Oilers. I'll go with the Oilers, mainly because of star power. It's like you always have those visions, and I just went on a rant before about how we shouldn't use biases. But to me, it's like the vision of like, okay, like McKinnon winning the Cup and Crosby winning the Cup and Gretzky and Lemieux and Sakic and Yzerman. So to me, it's like McDavid's going to get his Cup. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. So I would go with the Oilers. Jets close second though, because I really like that team. I really like that Jets team.
It's time for a quick break because we need to give a cheers to the new year from our friends at Manscaped. It's a new year, so it is time for new opportunities. It is time to look good, to feel good, and to play good. And the way you're going to do that is by using their brand new Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra. This thing is an absolute beast. So start the new year the right way, fellas. Go to manscaped.com using our exclusive code GFP20 for 20% off and free shipping. Lepore, is there a better way to start off 2024?
Than a Lawnmower 5.0? No chance. As Anthony Bruno said, it is an absolute beast. So why don't you tame your beast with a beast? Go to manscaped.com, GFP20 for 20% off and free shipping.
You heard him. GFP20 for 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com. Do the right thing, fellas. Start 2024 the right way. The only way. Go to manscaped.com and use our exclusive code GFP20 for 20% off and free shipping. You will not be disappointed. People might be very shocked by what I'm about to say, but Lepore, I couldn't agree more. It is the Edmonton Oilers. They are the best team in Canada. So for all the people who say Bruno hates the Oilers and all he does is troll this team and yada, yada, yada. Yeah, I am tough on the Edmonton Oilers, but I've talked about this several times, both on this podcast, on my own social media accounts. The reason I'm so hard on this team is because they have elite level talent, like the Leafs. Why do you think we just shit on the Leafs for the last half hour? They have all this talent and they can't put it together. And this Oilers team at the start of the season was dog shit. Okay, they were 2-9-1. Their goaltending was egregious. Defensive breakdowns. McDavid wasn't playing well. Draisaitl wasn't playing that well, or at least they weren't playing up to their standards. But holy cow, the 180 this team has made has been nothing short of remarkable. And what I have seen from this team recently, they are easily, I think, the best Canadian team. And again, I know the Jets have been fantastic, and the Jets have an identity. They're great defensively now under Rick Bowness. They have arguably the best goalie in the world in Connor Hellebuck. Like, they have a really good team. But what puts it over the edge for me when it comes to the Oilers is exactly what you said. It's the star talent. It's Connor McDavid. It's Leon Draisaitl. The emergence of Evan Bouchard, who, you know, it's now been a couple of years where he's taken over as like their power play quarterback, their number one offensive defenseman, all of that stuff. And Zach Hyman, my God, we talked about how that contract was probably going to age poorly, and we weren't the only ones who were talking about that. Like, Zach Hyman was an injury-prone player who was aging. Like, even now, Zach Hyman, like, it's not like he's a spring chick. This dude's like 31 years old now. But that has been unbelievable. The progression of Zach Hyman, like, think about what this guy used to be for a second, okay? When he first broke into the league, or I should say when he first became a guy on the Toronto Maple Leafs, like, this guy was a grinder. He was a lumberjack who would go into the corner, dig the pucks out for Matthews and Marner or Nylander, Tavares, whoever the hell he was playing with. Basically offered you nothing offensively, maybe scored 15 goals, but every year he got progressively better. And his last 3 years in Toronto, even though he dealt with a lot of injuries, he actually scored at a 30-goal pace over 82 games. So we knew that the talent was there. And obviously he was getting the opportunity to play with like Toronto's best players. But holy shit, Lepore, what we've seen from this guy over the last 2 seasons. Last year, he scored 36 goals. Last year, he was a monster in the playoffs. And now this year, he's on pace to score over 50 goals. I don't care who you are. If you are the biggest Zach Hyman supporter ever, there is no chance in hell you saw this coming. So that's been a huge factor in their success as well. And I just want to give a big shout out to Zach Hyman because he is outplaying the shit out of his contract right now. Yeah. Like, he's been outstanding. Like, did you ever think he'd be this good?
No,
before?
But you know what's gross, Bruno? He's I guess the votes are all in. He's not an all-star.
Yeah, that's right, because he didn't even get in via the fan vote.
Yeah, gross. No, I didn't. And Hyman was similar to Bunting. I mean, we all liked Hyman more than Bunting. I think we all, even at the time, thought when Bunting was on the team that he didn't measure up to Zach Hyman. But there's no way, like, this guy's playing like at a superstar pace.
Yeah.
Superstar pace. And you mentioned his injuries and what he dealt with when he was in Toronto. I remember the series against Montreal, he could barely skate by the end. I remember him and Foligno just like dogging it along. But good for Hyman, man. Right now, and it kind of, again, the recency bias thing. How many years left does he have on his deal? 4?
I want to say 3 or 4 years left.
Yeah. So we take him now. we take that contract now and substitute Bertuzzi. That'd be nice.
Yeah, because it was a 7-year deal for $38.5 million. So he's under contract after this season for 4 more years. Oh yeah, hell yeah, we replace that Bertuzzi money with Hyman's contract at this point. My goodness. Yeah, it's just wild to see what he's turned into. Like that goal that was called back in the Leafs Oilers game, it was just a one-man show from Zach Hyman. He never did anything like that in Toronto. Like, this is a guy who's now capable of creating his own offense, who's able to play like just excellently alongside whether it's McDavid or Draisaitl. He can play on the power play. He plays in all situations. Like, and he, you know, a lot of people will be like, oh, he plays with McDavid or he plays with Draisaitl. But this guy's like creating offense on his own. Even if you watch him in the playoffs last year, like, he's a fucking good player now, which is just wild, honestly, to think about.
That's bullshit. Because we went on a rant about Bertuzzi. We have one guy, they make the same money. We got one guy on pace for 50, one guy on pace for like 12. Yeah, value. Like I was talking about, it's a cap league and you got to get value and it's about building a team. So the whole thing, it's because he plays with McDavid. Come on.
Yeah, no way. Like, if Bertuzzi was playing with McDavid, sure, maybe his pure just like point stats, goals, and assists would be probably a little bit better. But there's no chance in hell Bertuzzi would be doing what Zach Hyman is doing right now. No way. So anyway,
think of it. He's doing what? He's scoring at a pace like 4 times what Bertuzzi's scoring at.
Yeah, Hyman right now, he's over a point per game, 42 points in 39 games, 26 goals.
Yeah.
26 goals in 39 games. He's scoring at over a 50-goal pace right now.
So he at this point, he's got 4 times Bertuzzi's amount of goals.
At the same cap hit.
Pretty
insane.
Way to go.
So if you're going to go on an 11-game win streak and do something that not even Gretzky's Oilers did, sorry, Lepore.
Just easy, Bruno.
One more time. You need guys like Zach Hyman to outplay their contracts. So, yeah I think
What's
right now.
What's that
like? Yeah. I don't know what that's like, Lepore. Yeah, it's sad. It's sad right now with Leaf land. But yeah, I mean, the Oilers right now, I think they're the best team in Canada. Listen, the Canucks are having a great season, but again, when I look at the math, when I look at the underlying numbers, I don't think they're quite as good as the Jets or the Oilers. And in a 7-game series, like even just thinking about like even Winnipeg in a 7-game series, I don't think we're taking Winnipeg over like Vegas or Colorado or even Dallas. Like, they're a great team. They're great defensively, but it's just very difficult to take that team against a team that just has more high-end talent on the roster. And it's the same thing with Edmonton. Like, if Edmonton and Winnipeg met in a 7-game series, at this point, I'm taking the Edmonton Oilers.
But would you take Edmonton over Colorado?
That's tough. I'd probably still give the edge to Colorado.
Yeah. But the Oilers have a chance.
By the way, McKinnon is playing out of his mind. Like he's on another level too. But yeah,
You know
I'd
what?
probably
It's
still
it's gonna
take
say
the Abs.
it's gonna sound kind of funny. Is McKinnon underrated? I
Yeah,
think
he
he's
kind of is.
underrated.
Like I think he's clearly the second best player in the sport.
Yeah.
And I think it's been the case, honestly, like for the last like 5 years. And there's been years where Matthews has kind of come in there. He scored his 60 goals and he's having another great season now. But when you watch those guys on the ice together, and I know there's been some chatter about this, like comparing Matthews to McKinnon. Like McKinnon is just way more explosive, just eye test wise, never
Oh,
mind the numbers.
his intensity levels off the
Oh,
charts.
he's just a fucking hell of a player, man. He's literally almost as good as Connor McDavid, really, at this point.
I forget who was talking about him. It was a while back, and they said how they describe Nathan McKinnon is that he does everything angry.
Yeah,
He
he
skates
plays pissed
angry.
off.
He skates angry. Shoots angry. He goes in the corner angry. Just
Yeah,
amazing
no
player.
one on the Leafs does that,
No,
unfortunately.
no, not even our so quote unquote fourth line grinders. Yeah, amazing. But and when I say McKinnon, I think is underrated. I mean, of course, he's a superstar player, and he gets credit for that. I'm just like, I don't think he gets the credit he deserves.
No, you're
Like
right.
this guy's like historically good. I guess that's the way to put it. And I just don't think he gets that attention. And maybe in the league with Sid and McDavid and Matthews playing for the Toronto Maple Leafs, so he gets all the attention. Maybe that's why. And McKinnon playing in the West, but man, unbelievable player, man, unreal.
Even what McKinnon's done in the playoffs, like his playoff numbers are absurd. He has 100 points in 77 playoff games, 44 goals and 100 points in 77 career playoff games.
So we're just going over stats today of like things we've never seen from our favorite team.
Yeah, it's and when you stack that up against anything we've seen with the Leafs, yeah, it's just pretty sad times. That's been the theme of this whole podcast. We're just very sad Leaf fans right now, but we're used to it. That's why we're called the Gluttons for Punishment podcast, because we've been through this shit countless times, and we're just ready to get punched in the face again by this hockey team. So it's nothing new.